Welcome back to the Tempo Storm Hearthstone Meta Snapshot Breakdown for August 20th, 2017. Tempo Storm would like to welcome you to the Frozen Throne meta. As the second expansion of the Year of the Mammoth, the Knights of the Frozen Throne introduced 135 new cards to Standard. While some cards still see experimental play, others have fallen by the wayside or defined the meta in the first week. The meta is by no means settled. We see new lists that reach the highest levels of Legend on a daily basis. Druid has become the dominant class of the new meta with 5 Druid decks as Tier S, a tier for decks that have found success on the ladder beyond what we expect from Tier 1. The combination of Jade, Midrange, Aggro, Ramp, and Malygos Druid in that order currently represent 40% of matchups at High Legend, with most players relying on Ultimate Infestation to fuel various strategies to climb the ladder. Midrange Murloc Paladin hits the top of Tier 1 because of its strong matchup against Druid's Ramp synergies. Next is Kazakus Priest, a dynamic force in the new meta and the first Priest deck to reach Tier 1 in our Meta Snapshot series. Quest Mage has risen as a consistent threat against any control deck with its infinite damage combo and game-stalling freeze effects, and Pirate Warrior brings up the rear of Tier 1, a reliable deck that exploits unrefined archetypes. You'll find familiar archetypes from the previous Ungoro meta in our Tier 2 and Tier 3 decks, such as Token Shaman, Miracle Rogue, and Freeze Mage. These tiers also feature old decks such as Control Warlock and Tempo Mage, and the innovation of brand new archetypes. We've ranked Big Priest at the top of Tier 2. It counters most Druid lists by summoning and resummoning large threats early in the game thanks to Barnes, Shadow Essence, and Eternal Servitude. This deck is as straightforward as it is powerful. Freshka piloted it to the top 100 Legend. Pirate Warrior and Aggro Druid keep this deck out of Tier 1, but right now Big Priest is the only archetype to have a positive win rate against Ramp Druid, Midrange Token Druid, and Kazakus Priest. If you want to experiment with a unique deck, check out Deadman Warrior. Various lists feature Deadman's Hand as a means of filling your deck with arcane giants, weapons, removal, and cycling. Some players call it the new Patron Warrior, a deck that took a lot of skill and refinement before becoming a ladder powerhouse. Despite the high skill cap of the deck and the surge of Druid, pros such as Rage and Dog are exploring the possibilities this value-generating combo may have in Standard. While most classes find success with a single archetype, 5 Druid decks are so powerful they were given their own tier. These decks represent aggro, mid-range, and late-game strategies that make mulligans difficult. We have identified Jade Druid and mid-range Token Druid as the most likely decks to mulligan for. Quest Mage is probably your most balanced choice against Druid. It performs well against Jade Druid, but is unfavored against mid-range Token Druid. It's also a great counter to Kazakus Priest. Big Priest and mid-range Murloc Paladin are counters to Jade Druid and mid-range Token Druid as well. Keep an eye out for Tempo Mage, a niche deck that sees play at High Legend. It sits at the bottom of Tier 2 mostly due to lack of exposure, but it has the potential to rise in the tier lists. APX Void recently took the archetype to top 10 Legend. Consider playing Tempo Mage if you aren't seeing much Pirate Warrior or Token Shaman. It can hold its own against Jade and mid-range Token Druid and run over slower Druid lists. It also has a high win rate against greedy decks and performs better against Kazakus Priest than mid-range Murloc Paladin. While all 9 Death Knights fueled a week of innovation, 2 stand victorious in the Meta Snapshot tier lists. Malfurion the Pestilence, versatile hero power, and token synergy allowed him to become the Lich King's mightiest champion in the Tier S Druid lists. We can recommend Shadow Reaper Anduin as the second most valuable Death Knight, having made the Highlander Priest archetype viable. Thrall Deathseer and Blood Reaver Gul'dan see consistent play in Token Shaman and Control Warlock as Tier 2 decks, but it's a little too early to tell if they'll become competitive staples. This season sets the direction for the Frozen Throne meta. Pro players will build their decks for the Hearthstone World Championship from the current cards in the Standard pool. There are weeks of experimenting ahead for the Hearthstone community as we explore the full potential of the Frozen Throne expansion. However, as long as Ultimate Infestation and Innervate are class staples in Standard, nature will most certainly rise against you. If you enjoyed this Meta Snapshot breakdown, leave us a like or favorite, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to speed with all of Tempo Storm's news and Hearthstone content, including our deck introduction of Kazakus Priest.